Hello, everybody. Welcome to 101 Exclusive with your boy, Joe Lockett. Yes, it's a new show, but guess what? This show here is a little bit different because I'm going to be talking about serious things in today's age where we have people you don't know what to believe and what not to believe. Well, guess what? I'm that guy. Have my career has always been about telling you guys the truth, and I have people that really want to sit down and get the truth out. And guess who they calling on? The 101 Exclusive with your boy, Joe Lockett. Today, I want to talk to single parents out there, especially single moms, with the kids. Let's talk about charter schools and city schools. And guess what? I have the person in the building in this interview with me today to talk about it. The one and only Dr. Genesis Wine Player is in the building. And this interview, sit back and relax, y'all, because I'm going to get the truth for you. Welcome to the show, Mrs. Dr. Player. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
How's everything going with you?
Everything is great.
All right, I heard you've been on a tour this morning, doing all the, been all over radio stations and stuff. How's it been going?
It's going great. It's always good to share information about Freedom Preparatory Academy.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad when your team called and reached out to me and said you want to sit down and have this conversation with me. So thank you so much for that. Now, let's get into who you are and what your position is before I get into all these different questions that I have about charter schools. But let's tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Dr. Genesis Wine Player, born and raised here in Birmingham. My background has been in public education, nonprofits, and higher education. And so I've been working in the field for the past 20 something years. So I'm just glad to be here to do this next step in my career.
So a little birdie told me, Dr. Player, that we got a new academy charter school opening up here. So what is the name of it?
So we are Freedom Prep Academy. We are located in the Titusville community. We're at the old Alley to Fatima school. So we're actually bringing life back into that school that was once a beacon for Black and brown children.
So the charter school system versus the Birmingham city school system. I really want to get into this. I hope you got a little time today because I want to get into what's the difference here. So why do you think, number one, do Titusville need a charter school?
So let me back up first.
Sure.
Let's talk about who we are as Freedom Prep.
Okay, go ahead.
And so one of the things about Freedom Prep is that we've been around for the past 16 years. We're not new to public charter school. We're out of Memphis. We started 15 years ago, and our founder is a Black civil rights education attorney. One of the things that she talks about, that her training is in law, but her passion is education. And so she was the education attorney for Memphis City Schools. And she realized she was on the wrong side of the table. She was like, I need to do something different. I'm seeing all the different things that are coming before me. Something has to change. Education needs to change for our students. And so she started Freedom Prep 15 years ago with sixth graders, with 100 students. And now we have almost 2,000, a little over 2,000 students. We have 5 schools in Memphis, pre-K through 12. We have 2 elementary, 2 middle, and 1 high school. And then this past fall, we opened up in Birmingham. Birmingham was a hard decision. That's how she says it. Let me just stop and say this, that our mission is to provide quality education for kindergarten through 12 to excel in college and life. We are unapologetically a college prep institution. We're unapologetic about that. Regardless if that's a 4-year, 2-year trade, we're unapologetically a college prep school. And so one of the things that she wanted to do is that her mind was that education now is the new civil rights movement. And how do we join this movement in this by change? And so we believe education is freedom. Like if we can liberate our students' minds, then we can free them to do whatever they want to do. So that was a hard decision for us to come to Birmingham. Why not come to the hard place of the civil rights movement? Titusville, think about it. Titusville was one of the places that the civil rights really started in Birmingham. Think about the Birmingham city jail is right down the street from the school where Martin Luther King did his letter from the city jail. That was perfect for us. One of the things that we want to do when coming to the community is buy buildings that may have not been used, and how do we bring life into it? And Fatima just became that place for us. So we are definitely bridging the gap of bringing a old school that educated predominantly Catholic, students But definitely, it was a place for the Titusville community, for Black students, and we're bringing life back into it. We're spending a lot of money of bringing life back into that building to be another beacon in that Titusville community.
Hearing that, I'm very, very excited. But a lot of our listeners hear that and they hear money. They hear how can I afford that? So I want to ask you, because I know when I went to public schools here in Birmingham, I went to Illerton from K through 8, right down the street. I lived at 304 St. Charles. Probably telling a little bit of my time, but my mom and dad didn't have to pay anything. And I know a lot of our moms listening to this show right now was like, okay, I got to ask you, Doctor, how much does this cost?
We are a free, tuition-free school. We're a public charter, so we don't charge tuition.
Wait a minute.
We are a free public charter school. So
there's no hidden cost.
There's no hidden cost. You buy uniforms, but you'll be buying uniforms.
No admission. No end of the year, annual year fees.
No,
nothing.
No.
Okay.
So we are a tuition-free school. Okay. So one of the things for charter schools is that, the process is that you go before your local school board. And so for us, because we were in Birmingham, we went before the Birmingham City Schools as a charter, just like any other charter school would do. We were denied for acceptance into the city, but then you apply to the state. The state approved us to come into that to Birmingham, and so we are approved for kindergarten through 8th, and so we're doing it in increments. So we started this past school year with kindergarten through 1st grade. We had about 38 students. As we're finishing up the renovations this fall, August 4th, we will be opening up for kindergarten through 5th, and then each year after that, we'll add another grade till we get to 8th grade. So ultimately, we'll have a kindergarten through 8th grade here in Birmingham.
So it's in Titusville, correct? So can only kids in the area in Titusville go there, or is it like throughout the Birmingham? How does this work?
It's Jefferson County. And so we recruit all over, we're recruiting all over the county. We have students as far as Centerpoint who are enrolled in our school, or as far as Hewitttown or McCall.
So no school zones.
No school zones. So as a public charter, we are not confined to just school zones. Now we do know our data shows that most of our students come from the 35211 zip code. However, we have students all across the county that come into our school. Okay,
so do you guys provide transportation like the public schools, like you had the Birmingham public system?
This past year, we did not provide because we only had 38 students. It was not a need. So as we're recruiting and enrolling up to, our goal is to have at least 200 students. We will be able to provide transportation and bus routes for those. So one of the parts of enrollment is once our parents try to enroll their kids, we ask the question, do you need transportation? And we're taking that to make sure that we meet all the needs. But it's the same thing that you would get in public schools. It's free lunch. It's all the things that you would get in a traditional public school.
Okay, so I'm listening. I like what I hear, but I'm a mom. I'm pulling my kid out of public school and trusting you, Dr. Blair, to put my kid in this charter school. What's to say if this doesn't work, you don't get enough kids? You got 38 this year, you may get 38 next year. You don't get enough kids. That somehow now you're going to pull this out of the school system. I'm back to where I started.
So one of the things that's why I started about who we are. We've been in business for 15 years. There are other charter schools that are around the county. They have just started. We are proving that we can do the work, and that's what we're doing. We're currently, our goal is to do 200 students. We're currently like at 130 right now. So we're not closing down. We're not, we're not doing anything like that. We have invested a lot of money in renovating the old Alley to Fatima. So we will be in the building ready to go. One of the things I want to stress is that this is a place for options. It's not a if, right? If something happens or we're not, I'm not in competition with any other school. I'm not in competition with Washington K8 that's right down the street from us, or any other Birmingham City schools. We're in competition with ourselves, because what our vision is that we want to transform education for all students across the South. We want to make sure that we provide rigorous education, character development, but also one of the things that stands out is that we want to be an educational home for all our students. Think about this. The students are usually at school from 8 to 3, right? That's a long time to be there. You want somewhere that your students feel at home, that the whole child is taught. One of the things that sets us apart is that our parents have a voice. And it's just not saying it like our parents have a voice. We will have a parent resource room in the school where parents can come in and learn about the manipulatives that we're doing in the class. They have a place to do this. One of the things that sets us apart too is that we have a board. I have a board of directors that I report to. We have parents on our board.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're
Now,
not
that's
just
different.
talking about
Okay.
governing about the local business owner. Per charter law, we have to have parents on our board. So we have active parents who are sitting in our school that knows it. I mean, I can't go in and say this is happening. Their child is in the school. They understand what we're doing.
Okay.
And so for me, that's a game changer. I'm being
That is a
accountable,
game changer.
right? I'm being
Mhm.
accountable because I want to do what we say we're going to do.
Right.
But this also holds a different level of accountability. I just talked about college prep.
Mhm.
We start college prep or exposure in kindergarten. We take our kindergartners on college tours. That's the difference. If you expand their mind and give them options, they get to see who they can be and what they can be. Just like you, one of the things that we do is invite our community into it. We have something that we do across our network called community circles. So we don't have pep rallies just for sports. We have pep rallies for academics. Mm-hmm. So I will have Joe Lockett with the Joe Lockett Show. I may have somebody else that come in, the local business owner. They're coming in cheering our students for academic success. What we do at the beginning of every school year is that we test just like anybody else would test, like, the beginning of the year benchmarks. Mm. We write a plan individually for every student. We talk to that parent. That parent knows, hey, my child is at 22% of grade level. Our goal is to get them to 80. And we come in agreement. This is the way we're getting it. So we offer tutoring. We have Spanish. We have sports. We have all music, art, all the things that you would get in a public school.
Got to ask you this. I love, again, everything you're saying. Sounds great. Mm-hmm. Got to talk to you about this here because I'm a parent. Mm-hmm. What if my child is slow, is not up to speed to where everybody else may be? Mm-hmm. Is my child allowed to go to your charter school?
Absolutely. So that I just said we educate the whole child, and it's all child, or every child. So we meet children where they are. So we have students from, if they have different exceptionalities or abilities, we meet them at all places. One of the things for me, and I've had parents to say this to me, my child was at so-and-so school and it was not successful last year. And this was just last year, so it's the first grade, so kindergarten, and they may have been on the spectrum a little bit with autism. They were coming into school at the beginning of the school year with headphones because of noise. I can walk in the classroom at the end of the school year, the child has the headphones off, they're attentive. You wouldn't be able to pick out that child out of any other child because we're teaching to the whole child. Well, I want to say this too. Sure. One of the things that makes us too is that we put our money where our mouth is. So we put a lot of money behind our faculty and our staff and who we are. So for kindergarten and first grade, we have extra teachers in the classroom. So our kindergartens and first graders, we hire a writing teacher to be in that kindergarten first, because if students can read, they can write. If they can write, they can read. So the fundamental basis of teaching writing is no longer in the school, but we're going back to the basics. And that's the piece. So, you may walk into a kindergarten class. You have your main kindergarten teacher that can focus on other things. And then you have this writing teacher that's doing it. And then you have an instructional aide that's in there. So you have 3 bodies that are actually teaching. And our students are grouped in cohorts. So they're learning how to move together. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we do is we teach community. So your child may not be as advanced as my child. However, my child knows that I got to pull my brother or sister up, right? I got to do these things. So we're pushing each other to do what's best. Another thing about Freedom Prep is that we don't call our principals, they're called heads of schools, or our assistant principal is called dean of instruction. Part of their job is truly to focus on academics. That's why my role, that's why our network office, that's why our regional office is in place. So they don't have to worry about the basic stuff of like running contracts, vendors, those kind of different things. Mm-hmm. So our assistant principal is in the school, our dean of instruction is in the classroom almost 70% of the time. So she's in the classroom, making sure that the teachers are doing what they're saying they're doing. The students are getting it. If there's a student that's struggling, she may pull them to the side. She may work. If a teacher is having a hard time with the concept, she's modeling that behavior. Our head of school is in the classroom at least 50% of the time. So there's no time that she doesn't know where her teachers are doing. Okay. We believe in a lot in professional development, but it's hands-on. And part of that is because, versus your traditional class that may have 35 students, we cap at maybe 21, 22,
Okay.
so that you can have a more individualized education setting.
Okay. So with that being said, with the kids, now I do want to get back into it, but I want to talk about a little bit about the parents. Because if I'm a parent, this is one thing that you do hear from the public school system, because I was in the public school system. I mentor and I teach in the public school system sometimes. How do the charter schools freedom prep, how do you handle discipline?
So one of the things, and that's asked to me all the time.
Okay.
And so one of the things is that we don't have a whole lot of discipline issues across the network. I'm not just saying about Birmingham, but across the network. Let me give you a prime example. In our high school in Memphis, the last 3 years, we have had no suspensions because we're teaching community. We're teaching about self-love, self-worth, and how to understand themselves, how to communicate. So we do a lot of character development. One of the things, a lot of times, what happens in the school is coming out the community, the neighborhood, right? We're bringing neighborhood stuff in. Right. And so one of the things is that we're trying to teach them how to operate and how to work inside the school so they can work outside the school well. And that's the piece, is that it's not just this. This is why we involve our community leaders. That's why we have everything that we need to have inside the schools. We hire social workers because it's not just about the education setting, it's about the mental health of our students as well. So, and their social needs, because it could be that a child is having some other things happening at home. If we can address that, then we can address the student. If the student is hungry, they can't learn, right? If the student is worried about safety at home, they cannot learn. So we have social workers on staff that can address that. My background is I'm trained as a social worker. So we have to meet the students where they are. And then how do we definitely make sure that happens? So back to discipline, we try to handle things always, because if a student is out of school, they're not getting the educational support. So sometimes, of course, you have things that happen. But we're on the phone with the parents. We invite the parents to come and sit in the classroom or observe or pop in, do those kind of different things. But we're working with the students. Like, we're having real conversations about emotions. And, it's that IQ, the emotional IQ. Why did this happen to you? What can you do? So we have that. Another thing, too, for us is that across the network, we have more male students than female students because they find it to be safe for them. Even in Birmingham this last school year, we had 66% of our students were male students.
Now, that's strange.
It is.
So what you're saying is that I guess parents are seeing that they don't want their son in certain environments. And their sons thrive in an environment that they feel safe in.
I think our students thrive when they feel that. But however, I've just noticed that our data is showing that we have more male students than female students across the board. Some of that is, we do know across the board that more Black and brown male students have more higher diagnosis and those kind of different things. But parents have to be informed about the best place for their child. And that's what it's about. It's about options, being able to choose the best environment for your child. And so sometimes smaller classroom sizes is what's best. Sometimes a different approach. Sometimes you think about this. Prime example, I can walk onto our campus now. Our custodian is going to meet you with the same type of respect and dignity as the male teacher on the campus or as the principal, because we're teaching community.
I hear you say community a lot.
Absolutely.
So I think this goes back to, like, when we was in school, it's a culture type thing, right?
It is.
So when you walk through the doors of Freedom Prep Academy, you just walk into a new city. Right. When you're coming in, you're safe, everybody, and everybody's on the same page. Now, I would think that starts from the top, which is probably you, right?
It starts with us, but it starts bigger than that. I have a boss, my CEO. When she hired me, one of the things I think about, you go through your interview process, you go through all this kind of stuff. But after I accepted the job, we sat down and talked about the core values of respect, responsibility, community, integrity, excellence. Those are 5 pillars, right? She asked me, can you uphold those things? She said, because if you can't, we're going to take the job. You can't accept this job. Right. It's the same difference. All of us have those same core values, that we have to make sure that we all believe in the same mission, that we have to understand that it's not about us. It's about why we come to this work.
Let's go here too. So the education piece, and we're going to make sure the kids get to college prep. So let's talk about this other part here about, okay, so what are some of the fun things? Because, kids don't just want to learn and get ready for college and stuff. And you come on K through 8. So what are we looking at? So what are some of the fun things that Freedom Prep has to offer?
So, let me go back to, we make education fun. Okay. That you're learning too, right? Okay. In fun ways. So, you may walk in and see games. You may see some different things. So you haven't asked this question, but I'm gonna go to this.
Okay.
That's one of the differences about charter, public charter versus a traditional public school is that we have a little bit more leeway of flexibility of how we deliver the curriculum.
Okay.
But we have higher regulations because
Mm-hmm.
we have to be accountable to multiple people. Because as a charter, we've agreed that this is what we're doing, right? This is who we say we are, and we have to be held to those standards.
Okay, before you get to it,
Yeah.
hold that thought because I want to go here. So, in the charter schools, right?
Mhm.
Do you have the basic courses of English, math, history, right? So, what are the basic courses that you have for
There's
the kids?
nothing different from any other school that you go in. We
Okay.
do reading, writing, language arts, Spanish. One of the things that's different is that we do full immersion in Spanish in kindergarten. And so you walk into kindergarten, it's full immersion. After the first week of school, there's, it's full immersion. So we're doing
Okay.
those kind of different things. And there's some other schools that are doing that, but you have everything else that you would have at any other school. We're just able to be a little bit more creative. And we hire certified teachers just like you would in the traditional public schools, especially because we're state.
Mhm.
Third grade, we know that the law, you have to be testing. So our testing grades, you have to be a certified. So 3 through 5, 3 through 8,
Mhm.
you're certified. Our kindergarten and first grade teachers, we try to hire certified, but some of them may not be certified, but they have a 4-year degree and they're able to learn and do some other different things. One of the things for Freedom Prep that may be different from some other charters too, that we opted into the state system. So our teachers get the same state benefits as if you worked in Birmingham City School or Jefferson County benefits. So we get the same retirement benefits, the same health insurance benefits, because we want to be an equal opportunity employer.
Gotcha.
And we want to make sure that our, people can find a place to be at. One of the things that I know that I see is that even if you look at our schools in Tennessee, we have so many of our students who have graduated from Freedom Prep, gone to college, and now they're coming back to work because of the impact it's had on their lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. And it's the same way in Birmingham. I think about that. I worked in Birmingham City Schools before, and I understand that,
Right.
that we make conscious decisions about where we want to work and what we want to do. But for me, Freedom Prep is a place that when you talk to the head of the school, you see her passion that she started as a teacher aide in college, and she's gone from a teacher's aide to a head of school. You see that the trajectory of why she's so passionate over the last 8 years about educating the children that she's responsible for. You see that our enrollment and admissions person is a diehard person about getting students in the door and eliminating any barriers for parents. Or you see me. I'm out here raising money. I'm out here doing, a lot of community work and those kind of different things. But I consciously believe, and I tell people this all the time, I pay a lot of money for my child to go to private school at this moment. If Freedom Prep was had a 7th grade this school year, my child would be at Freedom Prep.
But what I'm liking as I sit here and talk to you, Dr. Player, is this here. I love your passion. You're passionate about what you're talking about. And one thing is, if I'm a parent sitting here with my child, and if I'm watching this interview, I want somebody at the top that's passionate, because the person at the top, I know you have people over you, but you're the top dog of where you sit in Freedom Prep. So if I'm sitting here watching this interview right now, right, I can understand what she's going to demand out of the people that's under her.
Absolutely.
Which, for me, that's very important.
Absolutely.
Because you care and you understand what it takes. Because when you and I sat in school, I was when I was at West End High School, right? I'm looking at these kids today, right? Parents, y'all watching this, I know y'all know what I'm talking about. Most kids cannot read. Now, I don't know the statistics, but most kids that come out of school cannot read at a 6th grade level. Because you tell kids to read right now, they cannot read out loud.
Absolutely.
If you tell kids to spell, they cannot spell, right? I had one kid, not going to say where, but I was talking with a kid and I told them, I said, they need to write down something down. And I said, it's medicine. They couldn't spell medicine, right? This was a kid had graduated high school. These are the things where I see you and your team are very passionate to make sure that no child left behind left a lot of kids behind.
Yeah.
And from what I'm hearing from Freedom Prep Academy, and you tell me am I lying or not, right? That from kindergarten to 1st grade to 3rd grade, that these kids are going to learn how to write. Every kid.
Absolutely.
Every kid's going to learn how to read. So when they do get the get a promotion to the next grade. They're actually able to get to the next grade and not just being passed along. Or I got to ask you this question, right? Do y'all just pass them along?
We do not pass them along. So one of the things for me, so let me say this, Joe.
Mhm.
This was a conscious decision for me to take this job. This was a conscious decision for me to take this job. If you had asked me 15 years ago if I thought charter schools was the answer, I would have told you no. Honestly, I used to be one of the people that gave misinformation about charter schools because you heard
you heard so many different
you
things.
hear it,
Right.
you hear it, right?
Right.
And so you hear it and then we repeat it,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
You hear stuff and then you repeat it because it sounds good. And so, but 12 years ago, I became a parent. Okay. 12 years ago, I became a parent. And 12 years ago, I had to start thinking about truly, because I was working in schools and I was helping people and I was doing what I thought was best. But it became a different story when I became a parent, when I had someone who was looking up at me and I had to find out what her path was. And so I remember paying a lot of money for daycare or early learning centers. I remember that. Right. I remember paying a lot of money for that. I remember when it was time for her to go to pre-K 3 and pre-K 4, I made some conscious decisions of what I wanted her education to be. And then when it was time for her to go to kindergarten, I had to look at the schools around me. And and honestly, my ex-husband, her father was a public school teacher.
Oh, wow.
And we, not in Birmingham. He used to work. He was not working in Birmingham at the time. He was a band director and had, he's retired from that. But we had conscious conversations about what the environment we wanted to have on it. At the same time, my mom was president of the Birmingham School Board. And I made a decision at that point in time for my child to go to private school.
So let me ask you, right? Because there are people watching.
Mm-hmm.
You as a mom.
As a mom.
12-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What were the things on your mind? Because that's what's on some of these parents. So what was on your mind with your 12-year-old daughter when she was getting ready to go to school?
I was thinking about class size. I was thinking about diversity. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about was she going to be seen as a whole human being? I felt like she was pretty bright, right? I felt that she was a bright light.
Right.
But also, would they be able to teach her up or was she going to be held back? I was thinking about also the environment, the culture of the school. And so, I went on a binge to look for schools. I looked at some public schools. I was willing to pay because I didn't live in Birmingham City schools. I lived in St. Clair County at the time. I was willing to pay to be out of zone free. I looked at all these different things. I looked at Moody City schools. I looked at all those kind of different things, and I made a conscious effort for her to go to private school, and I've continued that. Because of the environment. When I walked into the school, I could see learning happening in a different way. I can see the discipline happening in a different way. I can see that, when we walked in, they called about name, right? I looked at a lot of different things at that particular time, and I wanted somewhere for her to thrive. So I looked at classroom sizes, right? Like if it's going to be overcrowded. I looked at the qualification and the passions of teachers. I looked at all kind of different things. And I made that decision at that particular time. And it went against who I said I was, right? Because I worked in public schools. Again, I was married to somebody that was a public educator, right? And my mom was sitting as the president of the Birmingham School Board at the time, right? Advocating for that. But I made that conscious decision. And I had to
because it was yours.
It was mine. It was choice.
It was yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's my child.
But let's think back what we're saying,
Absolutely.
Though, right? I changed my thought pattern because it was my child.
Yes.
So right now we got somebody sitting on Freedom Prep Academy saying that I'm going to treat your child like what?
Mine. Okay. So that was the difference. And so one of the things, and so it goes back to what you just said. So one of those things is that as she has grown, right? Because in my head, she'll be in private school, kindergarten through 5th. That was my thought. After 5th grade, by middle school, we'll be out. And I haven't, I've looked at those different things and I've seen that. And then when it was time, I had the opportunity for Freedom Prep. I just didn't go on the interview. I visited, right? I was able to find out some different things. I was trying to think about if this was me. For the parent who can't afford private school.
Right.
What do you want? How can you do this? How can you make education accessible? Because I think that the realistic piece is that Alabama now is a school choice state.
Okay, so let's stop there because a school choice state,
meaning that, historically you went to the schools that you were zoned for. We've
Okay.
seen things change, like you can get the academies and all this kind of different things. But now the state is saying, if your local school doesn't meet certain standards, you can apply to go to different places and do some different things.
So
But
we don't have to fill out any type of paperwork, anything. You just
you
send your
still
school?
can, you have to fill out and go through system. The schools have to be able to accept you, because some of them may say, hey,
We're full, right.
we full, we can't do this. The raise act not the raise, the accountability act, the choose act just passed, where now the state is going to give parents money to go to private schools. So there are so many options. But this is my thing for us, since we are a school choice state, we educate all students, but in particular, we want to change the education for Black and brown students, but all students are welcome. We have a diverse group. But think about this. Why not create the table that you want to be able to eat at?
Oh, wow. I like that.
Right?
I like that.
We talk about freedom and we talk about liberation. We talk about all these different things, but why not create the table that you want to be at? And so one of the things that I tell people all the time is that, I've always heard somebody say that, you want people that need you more than you need them. But this is the thing, I'm not out here just recruiting any students. I want students who need us, not that we need them. I'm not trying to fill a quota. I want students who need an education home that can definitely meet them where they are.
One thing I hear from you, Dr. Player, is this: I don't hear you recruiting. I hear you telling the story. I don't hear you, saying, please come here. You're telling this is what this is. Now, I want to try to backtrack just a little bit, one step back, if that's okay. Because you said that your child still is in private school, and now you're doing the charter schools. I'm a parent sitting here watching this interview. What are the things that you see now that in the private school, right, as in charter schools? What's the difference? Are there three things right now that you can say, well, this is what private school is offering, but man, charter school is right on the edge of that?
So I won't say what charter, I'm saying what Freedom Prep is. Okay. I can do that one.
Okay, let's do Freedom Prep.
Okay, so one of the things is that we offer is we meet the whole child. If I think about this, and my daughter and I have this conversation all the time, sometimes she tell me I'm too woke, right? Too woke. But my child has been in school, in the same school since kindergarten. She's never had a teacher that looked like her. And so I have to do a lot of things outside of the school setting for that.
Now, what's that important?
It's important to me.
Okay, so you're saying in private school she never had a teacher?
In her particular private school, I'm not gonna say in her particular private school, she's never had. Well, I take that. She's never had an academic teacher that looked like her. She's going in 7th grade. She had a music teacher for 3 months that looked like her. So sometimes you have to see yourself in certain roles to understand it. Gratefully, I'm able to set some of those examples on putting her in this. But one of the things for us at Freedom Prep, we want to mimic what they see. Okay. We want students to be able to see this. We talked about college prep, and you said that, we talked about this. All of our classrooms are named after colleges and universities. So you're not going to come in and you in Mr. Lockett's classroom. Mr. Lockett may have named his classroom, or the principal that came up, it's going to be Alabama A&M University or Miles College.
Oh, wow.
So that's what the name of the school. So then you see the paraphernalia in the school, you see some different things, and you're learning about the school, the historical. It could be UAB, it could be whatever school.
The community, the culture.
It takes that culture. So then, and we're teaching those. On Fridays, we all wear college preparatory shirts. Our students are in uniforms, and so on Wednesdays, all staff we wear, because you on your regular like teacher clothes, but on Wednesdays from me down, we all wear Freedom Prep gear, because our students are in Freedom Prep gear every day. So we wear Freedom Prep on Wednesday. That's school culture day, right? Then on Fridays we do college prep day. So we're all college. So regardless if I'm going to meet with the mayor or a business person, if they can't understand that I got to live it out for my mission, I'm in my college, in that college t-shirt. And so we're exposing students to all different colleges.
Y'all walking the walk over there at Freedom Prep.
We walking the walk.
Okay. I'm liking this.
But that's who we are. That's how we were founded. That's our principles and our pillars. And it works for us. One of the most amazing things, and I can think about this because I just want to say this, it's not just in Birmingham. it's a brand, right? If you talk about the Joe Lockett brand, anytime they see Joe Lockett, they should see certain things about Joe Lockett, right?
Yes.
It's some things that come with you. It's some things that we see when you think about Coke or whatever, that comes in.
Right.
That's the same difference with us. If you go to Memphis, you're going to see some of the same things. I walked into the high school and didn't realize I was in the high school.
Oh, wow.
It was quiet. It was a different feel for me. And so the principal started taking me out. When I went to the lunchroom, into the gym, of course, you hear all that kind of stuff. They playing chess in the lunchroom. They're doing all this kind of stuff. But we were just walking, and we walked around, and there was some AP students in the hallway. And I was like, oh, how, because I'm sizing them up. I'm like, they're not out here doing work. We walk up, and they having conversations about their senior projects with nobody around because they get the freedom to liberate their mind.
I want to ask you this. It's an interview process here, but let's talk about this because me and you went to school, right? And you said something very interesting, that when you went to the high school, you couldn't tell the difference between middle school and high school. What changed? Because that used to be us. Somehow things started to change. Now, what you're telling me is you can take this same kid from the public school, put him in his charter school, same kid, come from the same house, same parents, but they're going to get a different outcome because of this. Why?
It goes back to the mission of the school and the vision. I don't want to keep using Tennessee, but let's say this. In Tennessee, they have school conversion. Okay. So that means that you can start a charter, but you can also, the state can allot you a school that's failing. Freedom Prep has taken on a failing school. Didn't change the students, to change the faculty and staff. The students stayed the same. We just went into that same building for a year and did it the Freedom Prep way. It changed. And so that's the key. It's about how we live out who we say we are, our core values, how we live out excellence, how we live out learning. One of the things is that we're going to go back to the basic things that taught us. If you think about this, if I ask you your favorite teacher, if you think about what's your favorite teacher from school?
Miss Lockett.
Miss Lockett, you remember it
actually Miss Lockett. I'm not being
That's what I'm saying. No.
Her name was Mrs. Lockett. It was no Kim, but she was y'all.
What school?
Illiton. Eighth grade.
Eighth grade. So you remember that, right? You light up. Mine was Mr. Cook, eighth grade. You entered Daniel Payne Middle School. You was at Cook University. Everything about him was about excellence, right? And he pushed us and wanted us to be excellent in it. Right. But if I asked you what was the worst experience of that teacher, you're going to tell me, I remember that teacher too, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I remember mine.
It was my sixth grade teacher.
I remember mine, and everything. And so everything that you want to do, you want to.
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
But everything that you want to do, you want to make sure that you don't do that. Right. And that's the key. But that's the thing about us, is that we hire selectively.
Say that one more time. Speak into the microphone. You said that.
We hire selectively.
Yes.
Because one of the things that we want to do is that you have to truly believe in who we are and what we say we are. We really feel like that our Freedom Prep is a movement. It's not a moment. It's not just it's a movement. How do we move this? How do we move the needle? And one of the reasons that our vision came for the South, because, our CEO talks about this all the time. When she started thinking about strategies, right, and looking around, she looked at Black and brown test scores across the country. The South was always lower. When we talk about that, 70% of our students may not be on grade level, or 80% of our students may not be on grade level in Alabama. What do we do about that? Right. And, we talk about this a lot of times. She talked to me about this too, that moving to Birmingham was a heart decision, HEART, because the doors went open for us to come. It's like we kicked the doors in and now we're here. Right.
I've done an interview with Mr. Jim, Mr. James, over at the Carver Market, Carver Market Center, Carver Jones Market Center, and he said the exact same thing. It was something that was in him to bring that grocery store to the Fairfair Inslee area. Same thing I see with Freedom Prep. Right, there's a movement happening here for Birmingham. There is something going on that I'm glad to be a part of. I'm glad y'all allow me to be a part of this. And I want to go on record, number one, saying thank you for what you're doing, because it's well needed. But I know we have parents sitting here watching this show today, right? And they're still a little bit shaky, right? So it's a couple of things I know y'all guys are getting ready to go into. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to go into the point of if you got a mom that's going through tough times, having problems with their kids,
Mm-hmm.
it sounds good, right? But I'm still scared. I'm still
Absolutely.
scared, right?
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to move my child out of this environment, and then they go into another environment, and it becomes more of a problem for
Yeah.
me. What would you say to that mom?
So to that mom, our children are our most precious commodity,
Mhm.
right? And so I would tell that mom, become educated about it. Just don't take my word. Come visit us. We do tours all day long, any day of the week.
Okay.
You come in to see us. So we're not just talking about this. We're showing. So parents can come in, they can tour, they can sit in a classroom, bring your child to visit. You can talk to our head of school, our assistant dean. You can talk to me. You can talk to all these different things. I'm gonna tell you, this is one of the things. So I'm gonna go back to your answer, but this is one of the things that I've found over the last few months. I've had parents tell me, I don't want to tell anybody about Freedom Prep because there are students that, because somebody might come in and mess up this good thing. Right? And you hear that because they have found the place for their child to be.
Right.
And I remember telling one parent, like, no, I need you to tell everybody
Right,
so that,
right.
we can, we can grow, we can continue. And so she kept saying, no, Dr. P, like, no, Miss Genesis.
But so us as Black folks, we do that.
We do that. But
Yeah,
but
call
the
that
key,
crabs in the barrel mentality. But
but
I get
her
what you're
thing
saying.
was that I have found the place for my child. I've tried this before.
And I don't want little nook to come up and
I
mess
don't
it
want
up.
this. I want to be
Yeah.
selective. But then I told her, I said, but what about the opportunity for that other child to get the same experience? So by the time we got to kindergarten graduation, she was like, okay, I'm making a shirt. My shirt gonna say I'm a founding parent of Freedom Prep. Because we call our first students founders.
Okay.
They're founders. They're
like
founding parents, founders.
Mm-hmm.
And so our students were she was so excited. So now she's telling everybody about the school and what we're trying to offer. So I would tell their parent, just don't take my word. Go to freedomprep.org/Birmingham. Call us, reach out to us, 205-983-3124.
One more time.
205-983-3124. I'm sorry. They got me. But freedomprep.org/Birmingham. But they can come up to us. They can come visit. We do online virtual tours so they can ask, like, hey, I want to have a conversation. Our admissions manager will have a meeting with them privately. We'll walk them through.
Let's stop here because if not realizing, right, the same thing she did for that private school, she's saying that y'all can do too. Okay. But also we got we can take us a little bit further for y'all really quickly here. Next week, 17th, 18th, and 19th. We got a freedom tour going on.
Yeah, we're doing the Freedom
A little birdie
West.
told me you're going to be at Applebee's over there in 5 Point.
We are. We want you all to come out. So we're doing a Freedom West tour. So one of the things that we're trying to do too is making sure people know who we are. We want to be a community partner. It's not just about enrolling students. It's about how we become good stewards of our community, our community. So we'll be at Applebee's, we'll be at J Wings, and we'll be at Carver Jones. And so definitely check us out. Come and you get to talk to faculty and staff. You can talk to other of our volunteers. One of the things that we want people to do is just learn more about Freedom Prep. This may not be your choice this year, but it could be your choice next year, right? And that's the key. I think it's the magic of us.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm sitting here. I was skeptical. I heard about it. Right? They called me and said, you want to do this interview? And I was like, because I'm a Birmingham City school boy, right. Jefferson County. I'm born and bred now. You know what I mean? But I'm sitting here listening to you, Dr. Player, and I'm convinced. And I'm not saying this to blow your head up, but I'm going to sit here and say, what I heard you say today to me and how you explained this to me, you're not competing with the Birmingham school system. That's one thing, because I was more like, okay, how does this work? But what you said is where the Birmingham school system may be failing, we're going to pick y'all up and help you out in that department. Give us a try. That's very important because still the parents have a choice, right? But at the end of the day, I think the parents want the best for their kids.
Any parent wants a place for their child to be able to be safe, right? And to learn. Freedom Prep offers a place where parents' voices are met and heard. They offer a place for students are totally the whole student. So we're not just looking at education, we're looking at social, emotional, all parts of the student to be able to learn that they can show up as their authentic selves. And that's, we talk about authenticity, but we talk about that as adults. Right. We talk about, I want to be, I'm living my best life. But what about that child to be able to understand authentically who they are and what they want to become at an early age? You change the trajectory for them for the rest of their lives.
Do you think in the next 10 or 15 years, education is going to be where it is now?
I think that if you look at what's happening federally, we have to make some conscious decisions about how we educate our child. It's not just in the schoolhouse, right? It's going to have to be in other places, but we have to have some alternatives for our kids. And I'm not talking about schools. I'm talking about alternatives of thinking about what their life look like. So I think that right now, what's before us is that we have to be very cognizant as parents, as communities, or, you may not be a parent, but you're part of the village, right? Of how you set educational settings. Hold me accountable. That's the other thing too. I'm not saying this about any other schools, but you can hold me accountable, right? Hold me accountable of who we say we are and what we say we are. Because one of the things too, for me, Birmingham is home, right? I have parents, family, friends. I have people that work in Birmingham City School. I'm not trying to take anything from them, right? Or anything from Jefferson County schools. I just want to provide an option because we're in competition with ourselves. We have aspirations of what we want to be, but this is the key. And this is the thing. If we move the needle in our little bucket, right? For students. And so now you say, oh, Freedom Prep is over there and 88, 99, 100% of their students are doing this. Don't you think the other school districts are going to start trying to move their needle? For sure. That's all we're trying to do.
It's friendly competition.
But it's all about this. But there's enough children in this community that need to have a place to learn.
And I want to get us back to, and I think Freedom Prep can be a big part. I want to get us back to here, especially I'm talking about Birmingham, Alabama, where our kids want to graduate. Our kids want to go to school, right? Too many times, like, when I first skipped school, I thought it was the best thing in the world. I'm not going to lie. I skipped school.
I did too.
You don't be doing nothing. It ain't nowhere to go. You know what I mean? But you think skipping school was the best thing. But in school, you really wasn't learning a lot once you got to high school properly.
Yeah.
And I think right now there is a deficit in our community of education and making it important. So I am very thrilled to be a part of and to see what Freedom Prep is doing, because how Robin thinks they're bringing the sexy back, you bring education back, right? And I like that.
And education is sexy.
Yes, very sexy, very sexy.
As an adult, you want somebody educated, so you have to start then, right? So that's it.
I love that though. And to the parents that's sitting here watching this show, right? Make sure you guys, if you guys get time on the 17th, 18th, and 19th, come out to Applebee's. They're going to have people out there to represent Freedom Prep. Also at the Cross Plaque at J Wing, come get you some wings. We're going to be out there. The Joe Lockett Show is going to be out there on that day. And on the 19th, Carver Jones Marketplace, you guys are going to be out there. So you guys are making it around in that area to go out there. So what are some of the aspirations that you see and you want to do? I asked you this before. I really want to know on camera though. What is your goal for Freedom Prep?
So my goal for Freedom Prep is to be the premier school of choice. It has nothing to do with no one else. I wholeheartedly believe that Freedom Prep is a place for all students, that we provide a rigorous academic educational opportunity. We explore, a lot of character development, but we also prepare students for life. One of the things for me is that I want people to say, Genesis, you told me in 2025 that Freedom Prep was going to be this, and this is what it is. And we're not just stopping here. Next fall, we're opening up a kindergarten through 8th grade in Montgomery. So one of the things for us is that we truly are who we say we are. We're not just kind of come in and say, hey, this is it. We're coming in to try to make sure that we move the needle for this up. But I definitely want Freedom Prep to be a true premier school choice for parents. And I just invite parents to try us out. You don't have to, enroll. Say, Genesis, I want to come and visit. I'll take you on a tour. It's not about that, but we open our doors to them.
Yeah. Like you did with your private schools.
Huh?
Like you did with your private schools.
Listen, but you ought to be able to do that in every school.
But we don't.
But you ought to do that.
We go, come on now. We went to the schools in our neighborhood. Your mama sent you up to the school.
Absolutely.
And you took what was there.
Mhm.
But what I love what you said is because you said you sat down and you thought about it, and parents watching this, you got a choice now.
You got a
You can
choice.
send them back to the same school, or you can go visit this new. Say that one more time. You can go visit
Mhm.
this new school with your child, right?
Right.
And there's no cost. The
There's
only
no
cost
cost.
that you're telling me is because I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly now. I heard you correctly. I do speak English, right? You said there's no cost.
We're free.
Okay,
Tuition
so
free.
ain't no annual fee like you know them credit cards you be getting right. They hit you over that annual fee $59 at the end of the year. So only thing they're paying for is the uniform,
They're
correct?
paying for their uniforms, and our uniforms are basic.
Okay,
Our colors. You see me with blue and orange. Our
right.
colors are blue and orange.
Okay.
And so they're buying their shirts from us and their cardigans and whatever else they want.
We have a team here because I want to make sure as we're talking, I want to make sure that I get the times
Mm-hmm.
for Applebee's
Yeah.
and J Wings. So could someone please tell me the times that we're doing this? So what time is on for? Okay, so we have Applebee's going to be from 11 to 2, and okay, and before the J Wings are going to be 4 to 7, and Carver Jones is 12 to 3.
Yeah.
So guys, make sure we want to make sure you guys get out there on the tour. So if you got any questions, you're watching this here, and you feel like you want to learn a little bit more, they're going to be out there.
Absolutely.
They're getting in the community. They're talking to you. They're not playing. They're making it happen. All right.
But I also give my cell phone number. You can call me directly.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. You sure you want to do that?
Hey,
You sure you want to do that?
Because I'm about what I say. 205-470-0036. You can call me on my cell phone. I answer my phone because we are who we say we are. I cannot ask you to allow your child to come into our environment without any accountability. That's the key.
All right. Dr. Well, thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.
I'm going to drop the mic right there. We'll see you guys out there on the tour. I will be at J Wings. Me and my team are doing our show out there at J Wings at the Crossplex. Y'all come on out. Love to sit down with you. Some of the parents, if you got some things come out, come sit down and talk to us, right? We're going to have a great team of people out there, eat some chicken and some fries and have some fun, y'all. Y'all know your boy love you, Dr. Player. Thank you so much. It was a great interview, and you have debunked a lot of these myths that we had here. And thank you for choosing me to sit down and have this interview.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys, you're going to know how I feel about you, right? I love you. See you guys next time.